Culture Club Show, December 20th, 2024.
End of the year, Ben. We're almost at the end of the year.
Is this going to be our last show this year, Jeff, or do you want to do something on the 27th?
I'm totally down. Nobody ever does anything on the 27th.
I mean, not to, we it's funny actually, like the Puck podcast, which we've been talking about lately, are all announcing how they're going to keep a regular schedule through the holiday.
I did hear that as well.
Maniacs.
Right.
All right, great. Well, we can be maniacal.
We can. For those not watching, Ben is wearing one of my absolute favorite pieces of his, which is a gorgeous cardigan sweater by Ralph Lauren.
That's so weird. It makes it sound like you are aware of everything in my my wardrobe. And,
hey, listen, I'm surrounded by, you and Jian. Like you guys are about the best things out there.
He comes over to my house and just goes through my closet when I'm not around.
I mean, you think it's a joke, but I was literally talking to Jian earlier, not about going in your closet, but I was talking to Jian earlier because I am desperate for a light cotton blazer, kit, something that I can wear. And I was looking, of course, at Bedford jackets from Engineered Garments, which I love. I grew out of mine. I had a medium. Now I need probably a large or an extra large, but yeah, I got to find something.
You're a growing boy, Jeff.
I want to be able to put on a slacker suit in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was telling Jian earlier, for all the shit I give Miami about, just like the fashion, the bouginess of it. And I got to give it, man, David Grutman, who owns Space and a variety of other venues down here, just a very well-known restaurateur and nightlife entertainment guy. Dude, the guy dresses pretty, like he's got a good uniform. He doesn't go crazy. He keeps it simple. And I have to admit, like I wonder who his stylist is because he's doing a pretty good job.
Well, and I mean, do you think he has a stylist? Or do you think he just has a brand? It's funny, like the I've been thinking recently about this. I mean, because I went to this event on Monday at the Polo Store in Soho. Was invited by our buddy Marissa Lee and the rest of the Polo team, our buddy Sean and gang, and it was a sort of a reunion after our event in 2023, the Culture Club Show there at the mansion. But in any case, like they do such an amazing job at Ralph of creating the world that right. the whole world, right? And then everybody that works there like really heavily participates in the world. So they all look a very certain way, and you can love it, you can not love it, whatever it is, but they're super on brand. But it sucks you in this way that is it's very beguiling. And of course, the party on Monday was to celebrate the new issue of William Brown, which is Matt Brannick's, men's lifestyle, which is like cars, cigars, watches. It's like his diary, martinis and Negronis.
It's like his diary.
It is very much like his diet,
which is great.
But Matt is in spite of the particularness of his universe, the universe that he's created, he's an incredibly sweet dude and a lovely guy, and our sort of upstate neighbor in a weird way. Right up the road.
I constantly run into him at the Callicoon Market.
At the farmers market.
Are we in a place where I fear this becomes like an upstate Catskills podcast? Okay, good.
No, well, I mean, considering that you're in Miami and I'm in Brooklyn, I would say no, we're okay as far as that goes.
That's true.
Let's not do that. I've been watching the like the Saturday Night Live integrations that they've been doing with the Delicious Dish, where they brought back the food podcast, which I never liked and I still don't. But that's an upstate podcast is kind of the way I would describe it. Anyway, going to the Polo event was a reminder of these worlds that you get into, and because of the work that I've been doing with Plus recently, the fashion showroom, I'm surrounded by all of these people who are very in tune with what the trend is right this minute, and it makes me feel a little outmoded for sure. But it also reminds me that if you just find that brand and you just stay within its bounds, you're always going to look cohesive and you're always going to be put together. So I would say, Jeff, your challenge is to try to find the brand. The super
Well, I think
light.
I have found the brand.
Okay, so talk about it then. So who do we got?
I mean, I started with this double-breasted cotton a jacket and pants from Noah that I saw last visit in New York.
Sure.
But of course, like that stuff is like small run. So I got the olive. The green would have been dope. Jian just reminded me that 18 East is making some really cool jackets. But I'm looking for more, the EG Bedford blazer.
I was going to say, I mean, cut on the roomier side, like EG for sure. 18 East is a great call by Jian. I was going to point you initially to, like, when you said light blazer, I immediately go to Sid Mashburn's Ghost Blazer, but that stuff is super trim.
It's funny, if I go that way, I don't know why my mind, because there's almost no connection. Margaret Howell is another brand I've been paying a lot of attention to.
Oh, yeah.
MHL, if you see it out there.
I want to talk about Margaret Howell for a minute because so in the Tuesday edition of Blackbird Spy Plane, Jonah asserted that timeless style is a lie. And he used, I mean, it was kind of a long
Timeless
post.
style is a lie.
Timeless style is a lie. And it's based around the idea that he thinks that Harrington jackets, which are sort of a, classic waist length, light jacket,
bombier
with which have a signature kind of double closed collar, they look bad right now. And I
like how it's just like put like that. It just looks bad.
No, that's what he was. He was just like, it's meant to be a timeless style and it looks bad right now. And I take issue with that. I don't think it looks bad right now, personally. I also have an amazing Harrington jacket from Pilgrim Surf Supply from 2016 that is like, it's one of my favorites. It's a killer jacket. I get compliments on it.
I mean, we talk about them a lot, but underrated.
Okay, so we're gonna weave this all back together in a second then. So anyway, I have this jacket. I disagree totally with the assertion that looks bad, but I do agree with the assertion that style changes over time. The reason I bring this up is because Jonah, aside from being notable to our conversations and a former guest on the show, is he uses Margaret Howell as an example of how a brand or a designer stays timeless by changing, right? So the idea that you make one thing, like you make this cricket sweater, and it's supposed to stay perfect forever is a fallacy. And I agree with that, right? Like you couldn't, you can't assume that you can wear the same thing, every year for 20 years and have it look equally contemporary.
I have made those assumptions, and then like 2 years later, you get to a place where, hey, maybe I was wrong. But you still, I don't know about you, Ben. I don't think you necessarily purge your closet as much as I do. But I'm definitely running at the positions now where I'm like, why did I get rid of that piece? Case in point, when I moved down to Miami, I dumped so many of my Red Wings. And again, DeLeon pointed out an incredible pair that was up on Luke's and making a great comparison to it.
Oh,
but it
right?
was, yeah.
Okay, so even funnier, apropos of the whole like Polo Noah.
Stay on this trend because then we got to talk about Noah Johnson.
Matt Haranek.
We got to talk about Noah Johnson.
Oh yeah, I want to talk about that too with you. I bought the first item ever sold at the liquor store, the J. Crew.
No shit.
Yeah. So I bought a pair, and it was a pair of Red Wing Irish Setter boots.
Oh, sick.
Which are awesome boots, but they're also like 10-inch boots, so they're not the most fun to wear. I don't know. I thought I was going to go out in like snake territory or something. I don't know what I was thinking.
I mean, it's like that's as over-engineered for the city as a Hummer.
Yeah, I mean, it literally. Well, and especially because I'm just wearing pants over them. It's not like I'm tucking jodhpurs into them or something like that. It's like nobody.
And you're the only one.
I got a pair of especially very, very special, Red Wing Irish Setter for J. Crew boots that no one can see. They might as well be fucking Oxfords. Anyway, so I was gonna suggest Sid Ashburn.
Sid Ashburn, yeah.
My brand, like perennial brand like that, is Beams or Beams Plus specifically.
Yes.
Everything in a Beams Plus medium fits me off the rack don't have to change anything about it.
No way.
It always, it always.
Right, you're small. You're small generally, right?
Hold on, Jeff.
I'm not saying you're small. I'm saying size-wise.
Well, I am a trim individual, Jeff. Yes, that's right. I am a trim individual.
I thought I wore a medium for so many years. I'm a larger XL. Okay, you are so on the other side of the line.
Yeah, I'm a pretty classic medium actually.
But anyway,
so the beams plus medium is perfect for me, and I don't have to try anything on. I can just order it offline or whatever. It's a matter of just finding that, right? That's what you have to find. I think Noah's actually a great call, and obviously we love what Brendan does. And you saw that they introduced women's yesterday.
I caught just a piece of it. Didn't get the deep in, but let's go. How's it looking?
Well, I mean, it looks like Noah women's. There's like 5 or 6 pieces, very deliberate in what the styles are. A couple long skirts, a jumpsuit, a couple of sweaters.
Yeah, pulled it up.
You know, really just like exactly what you would expect Brendan and Estelle to do, and unsurprising. But I'm sure it'll be great. And, you know, very much that sort of like Margaret Howell type vein, like,
I mean, keeping that through
timeless
line.
with a, you know, a twist, so to speak.
I always loved Tom Brown women's because it literally was a 1-to-1 of the men's stuff.
Oh, you know what great. I did recently? Speaking of Tom Brown, I went to the. Did I tell you this? I went to Belmont Village, which is the off-price retail village in Belmont Park, just on the other side of the highway from outer Queens, like Richmond, Queens.
Okay.
And
man, you're about to drop a bomb on me right now.
Well, so this is there's a chain called, or not a chain, a company called Value Retail. They do a series of these villages, which are literally purpose-built retail shopping complexes that are meant to seem like little villages, right? So it's meant to be like an English village, and you walk through it and you go to all the stores and stuff, and then it's all off-price. So the first off-price Tom Brown store in the world is there. And so I went out to go look at it, and it's interesting to see. It's like this, you know, like you kind of wonder, I am not familiar with how off-price generally works. And the guy at Tom Brown was saying, who's just like, oh yeah, this is stuff from previous seasons that we can bring back in. Some of it is one-of-one samples. Some of it is, you know, so it's not like discount
exactly
or
diffusion. Right?
Well, it's not right. It's not discount or diffusion. It's like dead stock, or it's, you know, unsold samples or whatever. So you can go in and you can find some pretty special stuff, and relative to Tom Brown retail, it's quite affordable. And so, anyway, we'll be going.
Sorry, when you say affordable, you're talking like 50% off?
You know, I don't know what the actual markups are, but or I don't know what the actual retail is, because I don't shop it. We'd have to ask Jian for that.
Did you take any photos inside?
I suspect about half price. I didn't take any photos. I didn't take any photos.
What was the build out like?
Well, you know, it's a nice store in a fake village.
But it was not necessarily custom built for it.
Oh, no, it definitely was. I mean, Tom Brown definitely built out the interior of that space. I mean, you know, Belmont Village provided the box, and Tom Brown built it out.
But it felt like a Tom Brown store.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
Speaking of which, you know where I also was noticing some off-price stuff yesterday is the Arc'teryx. The Arc'teryx flagship on Broadway has a Renew section in the basement.
That's cool.
And so you can buy, you know, previously owned or repaired or refurbished Archie stuff that's all been certified by the brand, and it's about 50% of retail. And it's, you know, it's like discontinued styles and backorder stuff and all that sort of thing. And I was just like, their retail is so expensive relative to what I need it for, which is like walking the dogs.
Yeah, man.
That it just doesn't make any sense. But half price for something that actually has some character and some patina is pretty. I was surprised by it. It's actually, the stuff is really cool. So
I listen, when you can get a deal, you can get a deal. That's hey man, because that lets you spend more money.
Yeah, it was like they do these things where they'll do like a quarter panel replacement. So you'll have a blue jacket with let's call it green trim, and then a red quarter panel. I'm making up that colorway. That probably actually wouldn't look very good, but a red quarter panel, and you're just like, oh, this is cool. This is my jacket, not this is the jacket that everybody else at the function has, kind of thing.
I love a good
which is
sample.
cool.
I have some fantastic ones from back in the day. We'll pull them out. I think I have a Fair Ends hat by Ben Fernez and his partner, made out of a Patagonia nylon, which looks dope. All
That's
paneled
awesome.
up.
So okay, so let's we're gonna get back to Noah Johnson and the high snob.
Before Noah Johnson, I want to stay on the discount thing real quick, and this is not an ad, but
oh no,
great
here we
small
go.
brand. I think they're out of Ridgewood, called First Standard.
Oh, I'm going today.
Ben, I knew you were going to go to the sale, and the prices to me look ridiculous. So if folks don't know the brand, a little bit of everything. But he has jeans listed at $20 at the sample sale.
Yeah. Is
that what excited you?
No, well, it was
the jackets
listed,
are $30.
No, so my buddy Sean Joswick, who is a denim maker, denim designer, has his own line, which he's is very boutique, mainly Japan, but trying
Great
to scale.
Guy. You introed me to him.
Yeah. Jozzy's amazing. But he put it on his Instagram story yesterday, and I saw the prices and was just like, oh, this is interesting. Especially because I thought maybe some of Sean's stuff was in the sale when I initially saw it. I didn't. I then got into it and realized that isn't the case. But it so happens I'm getting together with my buddy Mike to shoot the shit this afternoon. So I think we're going to go out there and look at that stuff. So I'll send you some pictures.
Let me know. I mean, he's got a lot of surplus. Am I looking at a lot of? Oh, these jackets look sick, dude. Can you please
for those
send me?
For those who don't know it, so First Standard, is apparently denim atelier and designer based in Ridgewood, Queens, and is doing this. He's doing a moving sale. He's moving out of his place, so he's selling dead stock samples, vintage, like reference pieces,
lots of vintage,
some other things. So I don't know. I haven't looked, but Mike and I are gonna go out there this afternoon.
All right.
So
Noah Johnson.
That's a cool thing. Well, hold on. Okay,
we're not done.
We'll talk about Noah Johnson, then we can talk about. Here's the other things that we're going to get to Soho House, and then we're going to get to Clubhouse, and we'll get into those in a minute. But Noah Johnson,
you just excited me.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
I mean, listen, I'm in Miami, bro.
All right, so Noah Johnson.
Sorry, Ben. I was just gonna give my accolades. Noah Johnson, Willa Bennett, of course, led High Snob for the last few years as editor-in-chief. She's, of course, over at Cosmo and 617 magazine.
It was Cosmo and 17. It's funny enough, I met Willa at the dinner for Value Retail that introduced me to this Belmont Village.
Oh, that's cool.
Thing. Yeah. So I hadn't met her previously.
I was 16, I don't know.
Nice
it's interesting, Noah Johnson, who's a very well-known men's journalist, editor. He has been with GQ for some time and really has been in New York. Also an incredible lover of art. Like an OG skateboarder, which makes it all like amazing. He's taken over the reins at High Snob as editor-in-chief, and I'll be honest, I can't wait to see what he does there. I mean, he touches personally in his own interests as well as what he covers. He touches so much of what High Snob is. Go ahead, Ben.
Right. No, I mean, Jeff, this is your soliloquy. I have not very much to add. I don't know Noah, and
you guys have never met?
No,
he's not
that I'm aware of. We might have, but not that I'm aware of.
Yeah. He's great. It's going to be interesting to see now that it's under the helm of Noah what direction the site takes. Especially because, you and I have already been talking about it. Like, there is something happening again, and I don't know. It's because of the political, the way politics are going, or just how people are dressing. We're kind of getting. Can I say the word core again? If I make sense, people are not necessarily going into uniforms, but
right. Are you talking about like a back to basics sort of thing?
No, I think we did that already. I think we're now back to a place where there are people that love brands that are conceptual, and there are people that love brands that have storytelling in them. And I mean storytelling that you just know the designers more than ever. And I feel like Noah's a great guy to to head that up. Where
okay. So I'm tracking with you there, but I don't understand what you mean by core, back to core.
I was going to make a comment that it was core to what Snob was years ago, in terms of the coverage.
So when you say we are going back to core, you're talking about High Snob going back to.
I should make this clear too. I believe it could be interesting to see through this. I believe they may be going back to a core consumer, maybe doubling down on what what they were strong at, and continue to be strong at.
Got it. I understand. Yeah, I saw that part of Noah's announcement was that Tom Lee was coming back as the creative director. And
no shit.
Here I am breaking news. So that was part of it too. But it's interesting because I thought when you said going back to core, what I thought you meant maybe was a return to like kind of a back to basics, meaning a move away from some of the higher end designer stuff. And it's Catherine Zarella today in the New York Times wrote a piece about how luxury was in a death spiral. And it is interesting if you triangulate Jonah's piece about timeless style and Margaret, like circulating or centering on Margaret Howell, the explosion of Studio Nicholson and Orally and those sorts of brands that are not showy but are highly considered, but also at sort of a more accessible price point. The stuff that Chris Lee sells at Venn Space, the rise of Sunflower as the next, Our Legacy, the LVMH investment in Our Legacy, like all of these things, you could kind of make the argument that there's a return to core. I don't know what, wearability or easeability, accessibility kind of thing.
If you look at core through the fashion lens, so just to be clear, I was looking at core through the high snobiety lens of a business. Right. But I like where you're going with this because I think you're right. I think that while to some people the uniform may not necessarily be as important anymore, if I look at brands that are able to stay classic and remain true to at least the conversation they have had and continue to have, that stuff works. And that's why, that's why in many ways, I think that when I think about when I say that menswear is coming back, I don't necessarily mean that. I mean that the attention to who you're buying from, right? So people are paying much more attention to what people would say would be smaller brands that are making quality things. And I think a lot of people, including myself, think of that as, this crafted movement in some way.
Yeah. Well, that's, they're right. And then that triangulates with First Standard and Joswick. And the thing that Catherine Zarella said at the end of her piece in the Times, which everybody should check out, is basically like, it now is a good time to find a local maker who, you can support and who you can create a longstanding relationship with. Which of course is Ben. Always good advice.
This is
okay. Here we go.
I've been following one of these small makers, of course, on Instagram, a guy named Andre Dradini. He's up in Seattle, and he made himself a chambray shirt that just looked really basic, but was cool as that the pockets were dropped. He put I think he made 12 of them, put them on sale the other day, and I picked up one.
Nice.
I mean, it's basic though. That's exactly what it is. Like this is a uniform basic piece with the pocket is much lower than it usually is, but I paid $170 for this.
Yep.
I wonder how many hours he actually put into it to earn that $170. Right. And this is a conversation I've also had with the guys in New Hartford, Connecticut, called Hard & Co. about a local cobbler who again is making shoes there. And I think he has to sell his shoes at $2,000 a pair. And even there, he's only making $11 an hour or something like this. So the cost of craft is,
2,000. Okay. I'm the math ain't mathing for me, but I understand.
Well, maybe he's a slow shoemaker in general, but it gets me to something. But it gets me to something around, the 60 Minutes piece this weekend with, and I apologize, I think it was the president of Hermes.
XL Alexandre Dumas, the sixth generation heir to the Hermes family, and then also the artistic director.
And the conversation around this expensive, which has been making the rounds, of course, and I think it's great. What is expensive versus costly? Because it's the first time I've heard what I think is a very interesting, clear definition between the two.
It was a very smart articulation. He was essentially saying, like, Hermes is not expensive. Hermes is costly. Expensive is when you buy something for a lot of money and it fails you, and essentially deceives you. And
because in your mind it's
is
expensive. Yeah.
Well, I mean, well, not, it's, I think it's sort of the other way around. It's like costly is something that requires a lot of investment, but also of time and of craft and of money. And then expensive is a thing that costs a lot of money, but doesn't require a lot of craft, and therefore will underperform the thing. Right, exactly. The thing that does require a lot of craft. Really, yeah. I mean, like, on the one hand, total fucking media training jazz hands. On the other hand, really pretty great articulation. So yeah,
I give credit to where credit's due.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They did a fantastic job. Which,
that was jujitsu. That was jujitsu.
Yeah, and a little bit necessary, I think. Like, how else? Listen, there are many ways that we look inside, but Hermes is definitely one of those companies, even though they've had their own issues too recently. Like, it's incredibly, that's a core company in my mind.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, it's the gold standard for luxury in the world, and also it is the one that has raised its prices the least over the course of the last 5 years. Everybody else, I mean, Chanel famously, like, doubled the cost of the 255 bag. And whereas the Birkin or the Kelly are up by 20%. Still jaw-dropping sums. But
yeah, I don't want to call it the E word, but a very large sum of money, Ben.
The E word. That's ridiculous.
Oh, man.
All right. Well,
what else is on the plate?
So there was an announcement, or there was news this morning that Soho House's stock had popped by 40% if you measure it from where it now is, or 80% if you measure it from where it was, right? Just, but on the news that Ron Burkle, who is apparently the executive chairman of the public company, wants to take it private at $9 a share. When I read it was, it had popped, I got excited because I actually, as a Soho House member, bought into its IPO. And yeah, I did. Not a small amount, $1,000. And so I 100 shares. I bought 100 shares, which at the time were priced at $12. So, $1,200. Small money, but I just thought, like, this is interesting. This is a service I use. Let's see, hospitality should be on an upswing. This is probably 3-4 years ago. Let's see what happens. What has happened is the stock has totally tanked, and yesterday, prior to the news, was at $5 or something like that. Because this is small money, and also because it's the only thing I have with Morgan Stanley, I just haven't even touched it. But I saw the pop and I was like, okay, great, this is my excuse. I'm going to get out of this thing. I'll make my $1,200 back and I'll be done with this dumb thing. Ron offered it at $9 a share, so I'm still underwater. So now I don't know what to do. Just chalk it up. I'm bad at stock picking, Jeff.
Hey, man, you're not alone there.
But it reminded me of something else that we were invested in together. And as I was cleaning out a closet today, and I found this Clubhouse promo pack. Where you must have been sent this one.
There's a sweater in it?
No, it's a beanie hat and a pair of socks and a little message from just your friends at Clubhouse. So I've got that collector's item, and I've got, of course,
the hoodie still.
The sick hoodie that we talked about the other day. So yeah,
I would not get rid of it.
I was going to ask if you had done anything with yours. If you'd done anything with yours.
No. See, I have a bin full of companies that I've worked on or invested or projects that I loved. And one day these will be vintage. Like, they'll be the next thing, like all of these lost companies, well, especially like NFT merch. NFT merch is going to do that too.
It was I was listening. Speaking of that, I was listening to Bob Lefsett's talk to John Cohen, who's founder of the Fader and Cornerstone and an old friend.
Oh shit, I missed that episode.
And John was talking about at some point over the course of the conversation, he was talking about the early fader magazines and how they got a bunch of money from boo.com to fund the magazine. Do you remember boo.com?
I don't remember. I remember everything else. Fab, pets.
So cars. I gotta go. Yeah. So I gotta go find. I have the first 8 issues of the Fader someplace, and so I gotta go find them. But in boo.com was a multi-brand fashion forward online retailer that was built on the premise of exclusive products and exclusive collaborations. And one of the things that they did, I guess apparently with Cornerstone's help, was that they made boo.com custom New Balances. This is in 2000. And so I'm like, those things have always been in the pantheon of lost, grails maybe is the wrong word, but lost corporate follies, right? Like,
yeah.
Lost special
makeups, SMUs.
SMUs, that's exactly right. And so, if anybody has a line in on a pair of boo.com New Balance, I'm sure they, the soles would be cracking off now at this point. But, if you got them, let me know. I'm interested.
I'm trying to think of
I'll trade you for a Clubhouse sweatshirt.
I'm pretty sure I still have a pets.com hoodie.
No way, really?
Yeah, not a hoodie, the dog, which I don't think is necessarily that rare because they made so many of them.
That's not the same. By the way, speaking of stuffed animals, as we hit the half hour mark and go over a little bit, one of the things, it's been 25 years since the Christmas 1999 UK chart on which Flat Eric by Mr. Wazo was the number 9 selling signal in Britain that year. And of course, if you had a Flat Eric doll, you remember how special Flat Eric is.
God.
So I think that we have a Flat Eric doll someplace. I got to go dig it up.
So much crazy shit. I have so much. I could go on for days about the stuff that I find.
Cut the pod right there. Just end on
here's an example shit. Before we go like this.
Oh God, here we go.
Look at this. Just like it's a JC Penney. Can you see? It's just like a JC Penney.
What is it?
Tag.
Yeah. You're saving a JC Penney hang tag.
Yeah, this was attached to, I want to say, an old pair of Nikes. I just thought the tag was interesting.
That's so funny.
Anyway, Ben, another great half hour with you this Friday. Again, to everyone listening in, thanks again. Love to hear your comments, and the feedback's actually great. I love hearing from people. Of course, Ben, you have to shout out Breakfast Club happening every Wednesday.
Yeah, every Wednesday. Although not for the next 2 weeks. We're because it's Christmas and New Year's Day, so we're gonna take those days off. But we'll be back January 8th, and then around the world, proceeding from there in 2025.
Sorry, are you hosting a mixer tonight?
No, we had a happy hour last night. We had a happy hour out in Bushwick at 53 AD and drank some cilantro spirits and
nice. How was
some great Verdita and some Monopolio beer. It's great. Empirical, who makes it, is like they are derived from, or they are former employees in the kitchen at Noma, so they're gastronomes and they're like crazy. So they make all of these spirits out of stuff like cilantro it is not cilantro flavored vodka or gin. It is an uncategorized cilantro spirit. So we had some of that last night, and some of the regulars from Williamsburg came out. It was great to see everybody, and it was great.
Nice.
It was great.
All right, Ben. Happy holidays. If I don't talk to you before then.
Yes, indeed.
Happy New Year to everyone. And again, for all those that are listening, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support. Wait, that's Breakfast Club. Wait a second. We're gonna do a Culture Club next Friday.
Let's do a Culture Club next Friday. So listen, everybody, we'll see you next Friday. In the meantime, Jeff, have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon.
See you, Ben.
Bye.